Hi, welcome to part 2 of our winter bass tips down here in lower Delaware. These tips will apply for all of the Delmarva region and most areas of the Northeast. Temperatures are going down to 30, 32 degrees at night now. Clouds, we got a front going to move through. It's one of those days where it goes up into the 60s or even 70 degrees and then drops right down into the 40s and 50s for highs and back into the 30s or below at night. So it's that time. Most of the leaves have blown off the trees, and we got high winds every day. So it's winter. So we're going to see what we can do here. We've got water temperatures ranging between 45 and 49 degrees. That's kind of stained. There are some spots that are still muddy in certain areas, but most of it's clear to stain now. The water's cold. So we're going to get up here and throw some crankbaits of different types and different depths, square bills, and throw offshore with Lucky Craft different crankbaits, some flat sides, and crank it in chunk rock and off the channels and the mouths of the creeks and see what that does. We're going to move back into the creeks to see if there's any bass that we can catch, maybe that rush in and feeding on some shad that might be there about a third of the way in. They've done that before in the past at this time of year. So I'm going to try out a few different techniques, and if we have to, we'll go down to the shaky heads and little grandy bass rattlesnake and things like that and try some different things. So we'll see you guys. There we are down here at Red Mill in the wintertime. Really freezing cold. I'm here with Ryan Corsiato, Steve Von Brand here for the Bass College. Throwing a dirty jig there. We got Sweet Beaver trailers on. Look at that bass. Let's see that one. See how fat it is?
Yeah. Or shad tail.
Bluegill or shad tail in his mouth. Right. Up on the chunk rock like I was talking about. Tell him how you did this.
Pitching the jig in there on my new rod, just testing it out and dragging it back, and barely felt him pick it up. Just barely.
Now you're dragging that on like what, braided line, right?
Yep.
And you just what, dragging it real slow?
Barely dragging it as slow as you can, reeling it, letting it hit the rocks, popping it over the rocks, and then just come and pick it up.
Don't think you can't catch decent fish in the wintertime, okay? We had water temperature readings like 48 degrees, 49 degrees. We had some spots that went up to 50, but it's cold, down in the 30s at night. But decent fish with a big old shad sticking out of his mouth. You just want to get right up into that chunk rock with the jigs, with the crankbaits. That's how you do it. All right, let's let that one go. And there it goes. I've been taking water temperature readings now. I dropped Ryan off, he had to leave, so I took some water temperature readings in the shade and the shallows, and then out off deep, and then went back over here to the chunk rock. Varied between 50.5 in the shade in 1 to 3 feet of water to 51.5 in the sunny side in the deeper water. So varies about a degree from one side to the other. If I find some more extreme temperature swings where it's a little warmer, that could change the whole thing. So I'm going to go back now. I'm going to slow roll the big Picasso double Colorado spinnerbait off the chunk rock, and I'm going to bang these square bills up into it as it warms up a little bit now and see what that does. That's the type of cover they're coming from though, Main Lake, right near the turns, the drop-offs near that chunk rock. I'm be able to try to find like rocks, big rocks, chunk rocks, small rock, things that are going to be maybe in the mouths, the first third of some protected bays that are not subject to the colder north winds where algae can grow down in the rocks, which is going to draw some bait fish. And we're going to bang some square bills around. We're going to work off the ledges a little deeper with some crankbaits that run like 6 to 10 feet. And we're going to drag a football jig, and we're going to pitch another jig into some laydowns and things like that. So we're going to see what happens, and we'll see. Okay, I'm back in this little mouth of the spawning creek. I'm right at the mouth of it off the Main Lake. Threw in the dirty jig swim jig, the little net bait pocket crawl trailer on the back of it, and you can see what happened there. Decent bass, they're fat, all feeding up. Not a giant, but a good bass. Now he came out of this type of cover right here, back in this little, it's a little bay right back in the first part of the creek, first third. He came right out of here, right out of there. Wherever there's wood, pads, chunk rock, the water warmed up. What I did was I took water temperature readings, and the water in here was 52.6 degrees. So it was a full degree warmer than the warmest main lake point, and 2 degrees warmer than any of the shady spots. So the 2 degree difference made a difference in the way the bass acted. He hit hard, he hit strong. Okay, and there he goes. So dirty jig, swim jig, right off the main lake. See, there's the main lake point right there. I came into this cove and the water temperature readings went up to 52.6. As soon as they went up to 52.6, I got it right away. So I'm going to look for that water temperature around the rest of the lake in the same type of conditions. And I'll see you. Yeah, there we go. Dirty jig. Right out of the chunk rock up here. Off the point again. Dirty jig. That big pocket crawl trailer. Skinny bass. These other ones were fat. This one's skinny. He must have had a hard time finding the shad. Now, if you stay with it though, that water temperature is 51.5 now. It's finally warmed up 2 more degrees, and this one finally hit. It's been slow though. It's a tough bite. Using a St. Croix Legend Elite with a 3/8 ounce dirty jig in bluegill. And that big pocket crawl trail. It's dark in an hour. Threw everything under the sun. Threw this RC 1.5. Threw some other small crankbaits, deeper crankbaits off the ledges. Threw a red rattle trap, gold rattle trap, cotton cordell super spot. Threw a flick shake. Threw a chatterbait, white and chartreuse. So many baits. Can't even remember them all. 3 or 4 different kinds of dirty jigs. Water temperature is 51. Went up to 52.6 right here where we are now. But they don't want anything to do with most of these baits. You really have to work. Went up shallow, went deep, went mid-depths with all these same baits. Chunk rock, laydowns, even tried some of the pads that were still showing in the water. And they're just not having anything to do with it. So it's going to rain, going down to 32 degrees after it rains. Got winds coming in, a big front coming through. So I'm going to get out of here for a couple of days, maybe try it 1 or 2 more times, and then it's going to be frozen. So I'll see you guys here on the forum that are members of our site. And if you're not a member of the Bass College, just stop on into thebasscollege.com, register, it's free. Check out the forum, stop in, say hi. You're going to be surprised at what you're going to find. We give free baits with all orders from Tackle Warehouse and Bass Pro Shops. And we've now even got an affiliation with Cabela's. So you can shop at any one of those places and get free baits with all your orders and free shipping at Tackle Warehouse. So stop on in. Over the winter, there's not going to be much to do. Stop on in. Let's talk a little bit in the forums. We give live help with tournaments, lakes, rivers, all over the Northeast and all over the country. We have pro staff from coast to coast. So stop on in to Bass College, and we'll see you next time down on the water.
Brother, it's a long road from Amistad to Toho. Doesn't matter which way you go, the miles are all the same. But when you finally get there, and when you pull the cover off, then it's time to get a little bit lost out on the lake. Gonna back this boat into the water